All right, we are now recording. This is the JM Eagle Benefit Counselor training call. Today is October 29th, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is for JM Eagle. I'm going to again ask everybody to keep their phones muted through the whole presentation, just so we don't hear any background noises. Also, if everybody could please hold all questions. We're going to do a Q&A at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to take down notes as we do the presentation. This way you can remember when we get to the Q&As to ask whoever you need to ask any questions that you might have. Also, and this is going to be possibly a little bit new to Ray, Vincent, and David, but for quality control, Mike's office, we do passwords for our benefit counselor training calls, because we require all benefit counselors to go through the training and to listen or be on the calls, and this just kind of ensures that they listen through everything the whole way through. So we kind of have some quality control methods that we use, and the first password is going to be Bosco. B as in boy, O as in Oscar, S as in Sam, C as in Charlie, O as in Oscar. Bosco. All right. Also, I would like to do some introductions here. I'm not sure if David Merritt is on the phone, but David Merritt with JM Eagle, Vice President of Finance. We also have Vincent Espinoza, JM Eagle Benefits Manager. Ray Dick, Fiscal Financial, who is the broker on the account. Mike McCary, District General Agent and opener for the account. And myself, Ronnie Ann Warner, Coordinator and opener for the account as well. I want to thank everybody for being here, especially all of our special guests. And I would like to start the meeting with some opening comments from Vincent Espinoza from JM Eagle. And Vincent, if you would go ahead and just maybe want to give us a little bit of information on your account, the culture of the company, any pertinent information you would like to convey or have our benefit counselors convey to the employees of JM Eagle.
Okay, great. Hi, folks. I just want to thank everybody for all the efforts and time that you're putting towards our group. We've gotten some really good feedback from our HRCs in working with you, and I greatly appreciate that. I'm going to let Dave Merritt explain kind of what we're hoping to get out of the benefit counselor sessions. The main things are two. One is we'd like to make sure that our employees understand what benefits are offered, how they work, and what's right for them personally. And secondly, the owner is really interested in making sure that our employees understand and appreciate the value of their benefits. And that goes into what we offer, coverage, premiums, and promote just what he's doing for our employees. Those are the two main objectives. And for detail beyond that, I'll let Dave explain. But that's all from me. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Vince. David Merritt, I'm VP of Finance and HR here at JM Eagle. Let me first give you just a real brief, quick idea about the company and a little bit of the culture. We are a manufacturing company, manufacturing plastic pipe, 20 plants around the country, a lot of them in very much outlying areas. We've got people that work 12-hour shifts in some places, 8-hour shifts in others, typically 24/7 manufacturing operations. So that's some of the issues you're up against on scheduling. I know it's not the first time you guys have done that, but we appreciate you guys' flexibility on that. It is some plants are very small, as you're aware. Others are much bigger, 150 people, multiple large buildings at the facility. Again, primarily in a horseshoe around the country, a few as far as location of the plants, kind of on the outer edges of the country, and then some plants in the middle of the country. We are a spinoff of Formosa Plastics, one of the big four resin manufacturers. Our owner's dad started that business right after World War II. His dad was kind of known as the guru of management in Taiwan. When he died, it was a 4-day national holiday in Taiwan. He built universities, hospitals, and so forth. Our owner's continuing with that here. We're the largest producer of plastic pipe in the world. And he and his wife, who runs a sister company of ours, are both very much very heavy philanthropists. They give money to or support pretty much the DEA's Educational Foundation, the Drug Enforcement Administration. They're the primary funders for that program. And they we've donated a lot of pipe into Africa, trying to help with water there. A lot of donations after Hurricane Katrina. Walter Wang, the owner, sits on the 2024 Olympic Committee for Los Angeles, for the Olympics. Sits on the U.S. Olympic Committee, if I'm not mistaken. Sits as one of 6 members of the Los Angeles Police Department's Foundation Board of Directors. His wife is the chairman of the UCLA Foundation that manages all of the endowments for UCLA. So very much active in the community, supporting the employees, very much looks at the employees as family, wants to do what they can for the employees. And following up on what Vince said, very much looking at trying to be able to leverage the value of the benefits that we provide. We provide almost 3/4 of the cost of the benefits are paid by the company on average, when you kind of do a weighted average of all the different programs and so forth. He views that as a really, really good benefit. We're not so sure that all the employees really understand the value of that, and we'd like to be able to leverage that when it comes to retention and recruiting. And so, as Vince said, the 2 primary things that we're seeing on getting out of this, making sure that everybody has the right benefits, that they understand the benefits, they understand the value of the voluntary benefits also, and then also that they really understand in total what they're really getting for the benefits and what the company provides. So, Ronnie, does that help? A little long-winded, I know, but does that help?
No, that's perfect. Thank you so much, David. And I think Mike wanted to add to that.
Actually, I didn't know David was going to expand on that, and I'm glad he did, because it covered the things that I wanted to make sure that we want to deliver to our benefit counselors. And so I'll keep this under 60 seconds. Believe it or not.
Ronnie doesn't believe it, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
as do I, Mike.
So, what David said is what this case, or this re-enrollment, this is a 10-year-old case, and it's been self-enrolled for the last, 4 or 5 years, something like that. And because it's self-enroll, there is an inherent lack of understanding benefits, which leads to the lack of the value of benefits and what it really means, and that leads to higher turnover and everything that we all understand about how our world and our space works. So we have been given this opportunity because we have the ability to enhance, I kind of call it an employee's benefits IQ. And so I want that to be first and foremost. Yes, we all want to sell some policies, and yes, we all want to make a few dollars while we're doing this, because we're not a philanthropy, and that's well and good. But every day we go out, I just remind everybody that we make a commitment to deliver all of the other elements of our solutions, in addition to selling a few policies here and there. So keep your word, keep our word. Everybody that we've placed on this case are people that we've spoken with personally and trust. And so I look forward to seeing all of the feedback on the surveys that are going to come back from the employees through the HRCs, and hear the good comments. So I don't have anything else.
All righty. I believe Is Ray on the phone as well?
I am.
Hi, Ray. Your turn.
Hi. Well, thank you, guys. Well said from each one of you. So I'm just going to basically cover the setup as far as the benefits go here, and it's pretty standard, nothing out of the ordinary. And I'm going to talk about let's address the employer-paid main core benefits for now. The medical we'll start with, and nationally we have Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, and they offer a PPO and an EPO. And you all have the summaries on those, so you can see what the benefit rundown is. But every employee has the opportunity to elect either one of these plans. PPO pretty standard, and the EPO kind of mirrors an HMO type of a setup with a copay and no co-insurances, no out-of-network benefits. Okay, now it is Horizon Blue Cross and Blue Shield of New Jersey. So to the employees, it's pretty seamless. Any state they're in, they can go see a Blue Cross Blue Shield provider, and it's not a problem. California is a little different. You know, the employer group either elects Blue Cross or Blue Shield. You don't get them both. But since it's out of New Jersey, the JM employees can go see a Blue Shield or Blue Cross provider. It's not a problem. Okay, now in California alone, we have the Kaiser option. So California employees, if they live in the geographical area covered by Kaiser, they're allowed to select the Kaiser plan as well as the Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. So those are the three options for medical. Then we have dental, just a dental PPO. That's the only option on the dental, no HMO. So it's a pretty rich PPO plan from MetLife Dental. And we have basic life with MetLife as well. That is employer paid and includes, most basic life plans don't have a spouse or dependent benefit, but there is a $5,000 benefit that is employer paid for spouse and children as well. So that makes their basic life plan a little bit different than most. And then we have short-term disability and long-term disability with MetLife as well. That's employer paid. With the LTD, they have the employee assistance program. So if there's any questions that come up with that on that, they do have employee assistance program. It's tied to the LTD program, which is all employer paid. So employees are automatically enrolled in that. The MetLife plan also has optional life coverage. Now this is getting into employee paid programs. So they have the opportunity to buy additional life insurance from 1 to 5 times salary on the optional life. And they have dependent life opportunities on that as well to buy coverage for their spouse or children. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ray. No, they do not have options to buy for dependents. For
the optional life, there's no there's
No.
dependent life coverage on the optional life as well, isn't there?
They only receive dependent coverage of $5,000 for any dependent that they're enrolled, spouse, children. But when it comes to supplemental, it's only employee offered, so no coverage to dependents.
Really? Okay, because I have a dependent life right here, so I'll clear that up. Okay, so scratch that. Only optional life for the employees. Thanks, Vince. Okay, another benefit they have that is employee paid is the vision plan through VSP. So those and again, it's all pretty standard, other than the fact that Basic Life has the spouse and dependent coverage on that as well. But that's pretty much the setup. I don't see anything out of the ordinary that I need to bring any attention to. And you have the summary so you can see what the benefits are in case there's any specific benefit questions. But any questions regarding the benefits other than that? Now, we got the voluntary, obviously. Mike, I don't know if you want me to address that. I think you got the rundown on that. The only kind of quirk we have in this is that MetLife is going to continue to offer the critical illness coverage, and we've got Colonial coming in with the other coverages.
Yeah, I want to speak to that real quick. So, but before we get to voluntary, Ray, is there anything about networks or any little idiosyncrasies about the carriers, the networks, or the paperwork claims, anything like that, that because we're going to be sitting with every employee, the information would be beneficial for our folks to know or to pass along to the employees we sit with?
Well, as you know, Kaiser is really not a network type of a program. So you just go to a Kaiser facility and everything's handled in-house there. So that's pretty clean, pretty easy. With Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield in New Jersey, you just select the PPO has an in-network and out-of-network benefit like every other PPO. And there's a lot of rural areas. I think that's probably the biggest thing is some areas like Adele, Georgia, and there's an area in Texas down in, I think it's Victoria, Vincent, I don't know, Victoria, somewhere down at Port Lavaca, that general area where the network is not very large. There's very limited coverage there as far as network providers, but they're there. So it's pretty standard. They go in, see a provider, they show their card, and that behind the scenes, I don't want to confuse employees with how it all works, but behind the scenes, if you, like you're in Texas, the provider submits that plan, that claim through the Texas networks, but they send that through Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey to get it all reconciled and paid. So, but it's just like going to a PPO anywhere. They show their card, the claim is filed, and the employee doesn't have to do anything unless they're in the PPO and they go out of network. Then it's most probably out of network providers are going to ask to be paid, and that claim might have to be submitted by the employee on their own. But in network, it all works the same. EPO, they don't have an out of network benefit, so they have to choose a contracted provider.
All right.
All right.
What I would like to add
Perfect.
to that is that I know Ray said you have the benefit summaries. Everybody will have a copy of all the benefit summaries tomorrow, along with any other corresponding material that you might need, whether it be a field bill, the MetLife bill, all the plan descriptions, all the links. So everything will be provided tomorrow via email and distributed to all the benefit counselors. Alrighty. Mike, did you have anything to add before I continue?
Well, when you get to the benefits, I just wanted to cover the MetLife critical illness and 3 of our benefits. So you just, I'll wait till
Okay.
you get to the voluntary benefits
That
side.
part. No problem. By the way, I did notice there was like a couple of people who jumped on literally seconds after I gave that initial password, and I think it was close enough. So the first password that was given out was Bosco, B as in boy, O as in Oscar, S as in Sam, C as in Charlie, O as in Oscar. And the second password is going to be Guinness, just like the beer, Guinness. So Guinness is going to be your second password. I'm going to go ahead and switch over here. Some of you might be just on the phone only. For those of you who are actually on their computer, I have kind of an agenda up and the enrollment guidelines as well. I just figured it'd be easier to just kind of start from the top and work our way down so we don't miss anything, because I know there's some important information I want to make sure that's conveyed on this recording for everybody. So we have the Jam Eagle account. It is going to be mandatory core and voluntary. Benefit focus is going to be the platform. And when I get down to the bottom where I have notes, I'll go a little bit more into detail on benefit focus. We also have the contact list on the enrollment guidelines. And what's really important about this is we have a lot of support from a lot of different people from Colonial. We got, I know Shani Bland, I believe, is on the call as well. She's been a really big help kind of behind the scenes. We've got some REM help from Sheila Run and Megan Olson. But I want you to take note of the benefit focus, Tanya and Brandon, because this is on a benefit focused platform and not on Harmony. 9 times out of 10, I would be your first point of contact if there's any login issues or any problems with the platform. In this particular case, your first point of contact is going to be Tanya at Benefit Focus. They're going to have quicker and better access to the system if you should run into any login issues or any problems with that database. So I just wanted everybody to take note of the contacts that are on here and their names and phone numbers so you know who's with what there. Working conditions. I know most of this you guys can all read on your own time, but we just want to make sure that you know that you're meeting with all employees to review all their benefit offerings, education, communication. All right. By the way, we did have plenty of pre-enrollment material go out to all the different locations. We had tents, posters, cards, flyers. The company even has a barbecue that is going to be this Friday. I hope they have a good time for that. So hopefully they're going to also be making sure to reiterate that enrollment will be starting the following week, which will be the 5th through the 9th. And I'm going to scroll up for a second here. Important dates. Open enrollment period. For the on-site enrollments, the only on-site enrollment dates is going to be the 5th through the 9th. That's the only time we're going to be on-site for the individual one-on-one benefit counselor meetings. As soon as each location is completed, we will provide you with a call center leave behind flyer. Those are not to be distributed until after you're done with your location. So a quick side note, one of the things that we're going to require is when you print the benefit summaries or the election forms to print 2 copies, when you normally hand one to the employee, we're going to make sure that the second one, and please have them, and this is in the guidelines, that they initial the pay periods and, you know, sign off on everything, that you can collect all those benefit summaries or election forms. And I say both because on Colonial we call it, on Harmony, election forms. On Benefit Focus, they call it benefit summaries. But we're going to still have you print out the 2, one set for the employees. The other set is going to go to the HRCs for your location when you're finished with your location. So when you're done, whether you're enrolling 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, if there's more than you know, one benefit counselor out at that location, please have your benefit counselor lead collect everybody's enrollment forms, put them in alpha, and you can present that to your HRCs along with a leave behind call center flyer when you're finished. Once that leave behind call center flyer is in the hands of the HRCs, the call center will be open for that particular location up until November 16th. So the call center will be open through the week of the 5th, but 5th through the 9th, but only after your location's finished, and then the whole following week, the 11th through the 16th for call center. And we do have our call center team, E3 call center team, taking care of those call center calls. The goal is still to hit about 85–90% of the employees on the on-site enrollment, but we know there's going to be those that simply cannot get off the production line, out sick, vacation. So we are going to make sure that we have the call center available for them so they can get, you know, on there and make sure that they're taken care of, communicated, educated, and enrolled as well. Also, please, a little side note, because Benefit Counselor was, Benefit Focus was set up originally as self-enroll the last few years, the employees do know how to go on there and self-enroll. That feature will not be turned on until I believe the evening of the 9th, that Friday evening after the on-site enrollments, you know, have been completed. But this is a side note again. If an employee has already enrolled with you, with a Colonial Benefit Counselor, and they want to make any changes, they have to make those changes with a benefit counselor. So they will not be able to make a change to the Colonial benefits via self-enroll. They can only make the changes with a Colonial Benefit Counselor or a call center person if they change their mind 2 days later and or want to make a change or add a plan. They can do it. It just needs to be with one of our benefit counselors. If it's just their core benefits, they know how to go in there and make those changes, and that will be open until the 18th for the employees if they want to make any changes to their core.
So the right thing to do, this is Mike, so the right thing to do, speaking to the benefit counselors, is as each employee prepares to leave your desk, notify them that if they did have changes that they want to make, they're not going to be able to go and do it themselves to the Colonial benefits. They'll only be able to do that by calling the call center or catching you if you're going to be there another day, et cetera. We owe that to the employee, so we don't have a whole lot of phone traffic and friction, process friction going back to others in the organization because the employees don't know how to make changes in the first week of enrollment to a Colonial benefit simply because we didn't give them the right pathway. So this is going to be really important.
Perfect. Okay, also, let me see here, well cards. We are going to be presenting well cards to all the employees. If you are a call center benefit counselor, I know you're not going to be able to give that to anybody in person, so please, benefit counselors, along with those election forms and that call center leave behind flyer, please leave behind some extra well cards. This way, the call center team, when they enroll somebody over the phone, they can let them know about the well cards and have them go to HR to pick up their well card. So just make sure that you bring enough of those to leave that behind as well. Also, we want to make sure that you keep track of, everything that you're doing. Since there is already Colonial already in JM Eagle, and we're going to be making some changes. I will provide you a field bill because they're going to have three options. We're going to be going from an individual to a group chassis. So anybody who already has a Colonial plan, they can either move over to the group plan, they can cancel, but I'm going to have to explain that in a little bit more in detail because I'm not wanting you guys to cancel it during the enrollment process. And or they can take it, they can port it. The only reason really to port it is if it's not in their best interest to roll over to the group chassis. If it's somebody who they're going to be jumping an age band, they're in the process of a claim right now, they have our Cancer Assist plan and they've been paying on a progressive payment rider, anything that's not going to be in their best interest, then we'll instruct them on how to port the policies because the individual policies will no longer be payroll deducted. The one thing we want to make sure of is that you're not handing out requests for service forms for them to cancel because then Colonial will have the tendency to cancel it right then and there and not wait because all these changes don't go into effect until January 1st. So January 1st is all the changes, whether you're canceling, porting, or rolling over to a new group plan or signing up for the first time. So even if they want to cancel, it's not going to be until January 1st. What we'll probably do is I'm going to be scrubbing all the Colonial current policy holders. If they haven't switched over, we'll probably send in with the group one cancellation sheet of all the employees with those individual plans across the board. This way it's done cleanly versus part of them being canceled on the system, part of them, with a request for service, part by the plan administrator. We want to streamline the process and make sure it all gets in at the same time, probably mid-December for January 1st. So there's no accidents of Colonial canceling people too soon because they're still going to be payroll deducted until the end of the year. Once those go out, automatically, our conversion letters will go out. So an employee at that point in time can either A, port their policy, follow the instructions with the letter they received from Colonial, or they do nothing and the policy will cancel automatically on their own. So just please make sure that you explain those options to the employees so they can make an informed decision. All right, here are the special dates on the enrollment schedule. You guys can read that later
Ronnie?
on. Yes? Mm-hmm.
Before you jump to the dates, so and if you said this, I apologize for missing it. All the benefit counselors are going to be provided with a copy of the field bill as well. And
Yep.
So if you sit with an employee who has the coverage, you just need to double check and make sure they thoroughly understand this transition and reinforce that, because they're going to say, well, why do I have to cancel this? It's a valid question. And so you have to just explain that it is a system issue where we cannot have an individual and a group chassis policies on the system simultaneously. So because the group chassis benefits were so much better that we had no choice but to eliminate the residency, big word, on the system of the individual benefits so we could have those payroll slots occupied by the group chassis benefits and just make it matter of fact. It's just simple as that. Thanks, Ronnie.
Oh, no problem. I know Ray already went through the core benefits. Quick note though, and I did not know this until last week, but when we were testing on Benefit Focus, I realized that all the core benefits were actually already in there. So Benefit Focus has already set you up with, they did a passive enrollment on the core benefits since there hasn't really been much changes, and anybody who already has the employer-paid core benefits, they're already enrolled on Benefit Focus. So unless they're making a change or adding a spouse or a dependent or canceling, those elections are already pre-populated in Benefit Focus. That doesn't mean to, blow by the core benefits. We still need you to communicate them, educate them, answer any questions they might have regarding the core benefits. But don't be surprised when you go into the system, you'll see elections already made. It's not because somebody went in and self-enrolled, right before you sat with them. It's because Benefit Focus had rolled it over and did a passive enrollment in the system for the core benefits. Obviously, if they need to make a change, go ahead and, do that for them. But those plans have been rolled over and will be showing all but the voluntary benefits. And that includes the MetLife, the FSA, and the Colonial. Those you will all have to re-enroll, and the FSA. Let me see here. MetLife had two plans in place. They had a critical illness and they had an accident plan. The accident plan, the Colonial, we did better on rates and better for the company. So that is definitely one of the plans that we are replacing. So MetLife, they're no longer going to be offering their group accident. It's going to be the Colonial Group Accident 4000. So just to take note of that. However, MetLife had a critical illness plan that was really good that Colonial could not do better on, and to be in the best interest of for the employee and for the company, that plan is going to be left in place. Since they had just a critical illness plan and we had previously a solid cancer plan, Colonial is rolling to the group chassis for the group critical care plan 5 cancer plan only. This way there's no duplicate coverage. So that is the one instance where we might feel that if somebody has a straight cancer plan and they might want to port it, they have that option. But if not, they can roll over to the group chassis, group critical care Colonial plan, plan 5 for the cancer, and yet still keep their MetLife critical illness plan. So I just wanted to make note of that. Group disability, that's going to be new for Colonial. It is all of the plans are actually size state California, so that'll be nice and easy across the board. Off job only. Now, yeah, it says GI to 60%, but the max benefit, regardless of the state, is going to be 25%. I do have that highlighted on the enrollment guidelines. So max benefit across the board, 25% for the group disability for the Colonial. 6 and 12-month elimination periods. The guidelines has all the specs for the group disability plan. If anybody has any questions about the group disability, I'll do a Q&A at the end. Side note on this, let me see here. Group accident, basic and premier levels, again, taking over MetLife. Group critical care, plan 5, cancer only. We do have GI up to 30,000, please note, and all the wonderful health screening benefits because of the size of state California. Group medical bridge, that's also a new plan. It's our hospital confinement. It's going to be guaranteed issue. Plan 2, levels 2 and 4. We've got option 2, outpatient surgical benefits. The breakdown is in the enrollment guides. Guaranteed issue. And again, we're enrolling the MetLife. Yep.
Before you jump any farther, I just thought about something. I feel so sorry for Ray. He's 2 hours ahead of us, and he's probably very, very tired from his incredibly stressful day. Ray, would you like to cut loose? Because from here on out, it's going to be, everything.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Mike. But I'll stick on just for the Q&A, just in case.
Okay, you got it.
Appreciate you
Thanks,
thinking of me,
Ron.
though.
And I think I emailed Vincent earlier today, and I told him that if they wanted to stay on, they were more than welcome. But if Vincent and David needed to jump off, they could do that as well. And they'll be since I will be sending you a copy of these enrollment guidelines just so you have it.
Thanks. No, I'm holding tight. This is good theater.
Righty. I know we already sent out all the brochure numbers for everybody to pre-order their brochures, and it's come up a couple of times. We mentioned it in one of the emails, but the Colonial Group Critical Care Plan 5, there is no brochures to order. It only comes in PDF format. So if everybody can, please just download the PDF format, maybe print out a few copies. This way, if an employee elects to participate or is really interested in the program, you have that to give out with your kits. I don't expect everybody to print out 100 copies of that, but for those that are interested, if you can please go ahead and do that, that would be great. Again, well cards, make sure you have plenty of those, and the typical service guide. Also, I wrote here, will be provided if approved. It was approved, so we will be also handing you a copy of Mike's survey form. This is a form that should be given to each employee when you finish with your enrollment. Just make sure that they know to just hand it into HR. It's not supposed to go back to the benefit counselors. It's supposed to go back to HR as quality control, and so they get to let us know how we did in a very, secure, so they know that it's not going back to you. You're not reading it. It's going to their HRCs.
And survey forms are not optional. They're supposed to go to every single employee if they enroll in something or they don't. So that's a promise that we make to our employer.
All righty. Also, I want to make sure, now we're going to leave this up to the discretion of the benefit counselors. We would like everybody to hold off until Friday the 16th before transmitting. I know that's a week later, mainly because we do have call center open, and the self-enroll part of that, it's obviously a lot easier if somebody goes in to make a change than if you were to transmit the business and then have to do a change of heart, and then we have the never effects. So it's going to be up to you. If you're pretty confident, go ahead and send it in, but it's a recommendation, not a formal, you have to wait until the 16th, but the recommendation Mike and I came up with is to, if you can hold off, wait until that Friday the 16th, obviously before cutoff time, to transmit all business versus Friday the 9th. But we'll leave it up to you guys. Whatever you choose to do is fine with us, but if you could hold off, that might be the best way to go. We also, on the guidelines, we're going to have the login is available to the Benefit Focus, platform. We also did a training link that I believe was already on the guidelines, so that was sent out to everybody. In addition to the video training link that we did for Benefit Focus, I am also going to be doing snapshots of Benefit Focus, like a quick run through. That was requested by a call center benefit counselor, because we realized that you cannot, if you need to refer to something, you can't be on the phone with an employee and watching a video at the same time. So I will provide some snapshots of the Benefit Focus training, so you have that to refer to if necessary, and that will be going out with all the other material tomorrow as well. Let me see. The agent logins on the guidelines. I have everybody, unless I added you recently, and I will update these guidelines. Everybody has their own user ID with Benefit Focus, and everybody has the same temporary password. It's in the enrollment guidelines. So if you're not watching me on the computer and you're just on the phone right now, it's both provided in the guidelines, and then you'll have to change to your own password. So user IDs on the guidelines, temporary passwords, you log in to Benefit Focus, make that change, and then you can continue on with your enrollment. Also, this recording, I will go ahead and get that converted tonight, and that will also be provided tomorrow as well for any of you that need to listen back on this, and for anybody that did not make the benefit counselor training call tonight. Also, online scheduler. we did 2 different ways for that to work. And we also did an instruction sheet. And I'm going to go ahead and send that to everybody tomorrow as well so you can see what was sent to the HRCs, because there's 2 ways to do the online schedule. The first one would be, for an employee to go on and just go ahead and pick their own appointment slots. That's going to be mainly for probably headquarters, admin. Those folks might go ahead and, schedule themselves. They'll just, click on the address bar, type in their first name and last name, email, they can put in theirs, or I provided a RIVS fake email address if they don't want to provide their own email address. And then phone number, that's optional as well. Let me see here. Then there is a second way for them to log in, and this is mainly for the HRCs. RIVS has something that's really super cool. We were able, and thank you, Vincent. Vincent provided us with a census of all the locations, and we uploaded it into the scheduler. This was to make it a little bit more streamlined for the HRCs because the plant managers are going to be doing most of the scheduling for the employees. We can't have everybody off at the same time. There's going to be multiple benefit counselors at some of the areas, and they know their workforce better than anybody, and we want to make sure it's as productive for them as possible. So those plant managers are going to just click on their link, and all the employees are already pre-populated in the schedule. Super cool. And all they'll do is click on that employee schedule link and slot them a time slot, and then just go to the next employee and so forth and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I send this out to everybody so you can click on these shared links so you can see what I'm referring to. Benefit counselors, please don't slot anybody. The HRCs are going to be doing that, but this is just for you to see, what we've provided them. And also, when it comes time for next week, you can go in and we can export all the time slots that everybody went ahead and put in. So you can have a list right in front of or on your desktop of all the employees that you expect to see, who's coming at 9, 9:30, 10, and the hours. So we did base that scheduler on all the information that was provided back to us by all the benefit counselors that they discussed with their HRCs, if they're doing meetings, if they're doing 7A, 7P, that's all set for you already in the schedule. It's already completed. Also, what I am going to quickly do is do a third password for everybody. And the last one's going to be Oliver. O as in Oscar, L as in Larry, I as in Ice, V as in Victor, E as in Edward, R as in Robert. So the third password is going to be Oliver. And I know that this was pretty much a mouthful for me to go over. Again, you guys have the guidelines. You can scrutinize it later on your own time. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and open up the forum to questions and answers. I'm sure quite a few of you have some questions and answers.
Ronnie, do you think?
Hi, Ronnie. This is Monica.
Hi, Monica.
Hey, Monica. Go ahead, Monica.
Thank you. I do have a question in regards to the existing Colonial benefits. Will they be inside of Harmony, or just we'll see them on the field bill?
You'll have a field bill.
Okay. And my next question is, are we answering yes to replacement because we're going from one product to another? So
good question. Everybody, please, when you're rolling over, well, we got the cancer. You know what? I do need to check on one thing because we're not going from a true cancer product. We're going to group critical care. I need to double check with Colonial if the replacement question would be yes for that because it's group critical care, even though it's cancer, if they would consider that a rollover. So let me please verify that for you just to make sure. And the group disability, yes, absolutely for the group disability because we also have credit for time insured. So definitely on individual to the group chassis of the disability, please check off that yes to the replacement question.
Thank you.
I have a
and
question.
then my second question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I apologize. This is my last one, and then I'll give you guys the floor. On the enrollment forms, are we to send only enrollment forms to the employee, or as a call center, are we also needing to send enrollment forms to the HR?
Go ahead and
enrollment summary.
email me. Yeah, you know what? That's a really good question. Definitely, with the employee you're speaking with, email them a copy of the election form because they're not in front of you. They can't sit there, initial and circle like the employees on site or those that are self-enrolling. So they're not going to be able to do that. Mike, is there any?
Oh, the recording in the call center is going to serve better than any circle and initial that an employee is going to do. So it's not necessary to worry about that. So I think only one needs to be sent, and that is to the employee. Everything that the employer is going to receive is going to be recapped in all of the data that shows up in bSwift and Harmony.
This is Patricia with the call center team. And I'm so sorry. I don't get it. What is that we need the three passwords for?
Okay, Patricia, for quality control, our district has a policy when we do a benefit counselor training call, we want to require everybody to watch the video. And since we don't know if people are actually watching the whole video, we have them write down the passwords and then ask them to email myself. Actually, I'm going to have everybody, I'm going to send out Patrick. I don't know if you're on the phone, but because you're doing some of the other testing, I will send you out Patrick's email address. And we're just going to ask if you can email Patrick your name and the 3 passwords.
Those passwords will also be on the test.
Okay. I was like confused. I wasn't like sure that why we need it for. I was thinking that we will need it during the enrollment.
Well, you know what? Why don't we do this? Patrick, let's streamline this. Let's just have it on the test that you're going to send out so everything's in one place.
Perfect.
This is Brenda Grund. I have a question just so I understand. So as I understand it, right now the company does pay for group long-term and short-term disability. Colonial is coming in and offering additional group disability, but only 20%. So that's to fill in what the is it covering, I guess? Is that my understanding correct?
Yeah, let me help you a little bit. Yeah, let me help you a little bit. This is Mike. So we're not bringing in another group plan, but it happens to be what we call our group short-term disability plan. So there's a difference between a group chassis in the classic sense that brokers and clients know, which is an integrated, offset, and coordinated benefit. So that's the benefit that the employer is paying for LTD, and then there's a short-term and a buy-up. But that leaves them short because it's a 60% max benefit. So nationally, for our group short-term disability, we're offering 25%, and it helps fill that gap that's left over. So we sat with the employer and Ray, the broker, and determined that 25% was the right level nationally to have as a maximum. And as we all know, the employee can take less if they want, or not take it at all.
Is it possible that some people, yeah, it does. And then I have, I guess, second part. Is it possible that some of the employees have, did we offer individual disability from Colonial Life previously, or any of them?
Good question. Yeah, good question. And the answer is yes. So if you sat down with an employee and they said, well, I've got disability right now, and I'm glad you brought this up so we can cover it. Prior to January 1, 2018, in California, the maximum state disability benefit was 55%. January 1st of this year, as we all know, they moved that to 60% if the employee makes more than $20,197 a year, I believe. And I don't think they have anybody who makes less than that, in which case they would be eligible for 70% state disability insurance. So the employee who sits down with you that has a DI 1000, for example, individual policy, that's going to get ported to individual ownership. The employee needs to make the decision if they want to move to the group policy, or and then let their individual policy for short-term disability Colonial lapse, or which way do they want to go? Move to the group or keep the one they have? If they keep the one they have, as Ronnie explained, they're going to pay for it at home through setting up direct payment to Colonial, just like anybody else who has individual pay. What you may encounter is a couple of employees who, prior to January 1st of 2018, purchased short-term disability, and they had the then maximum of 40% of their gross pay as their benefit. The new maximum is 25. So if they move from individual to group, the employee you need to make sure that they know that the maximum benefit that they can have is 25% of their current gross pay. If
that's exactly what I was trying to get at.
Exactly. And if they say, well, I don't want to reduce my benefit, I want to keep it the way it is. It's an individually owned policy. We cannot by law tell them that they cannot port it to individual pay and keep it. Obviously, if they do that, they cannot have a second group disability policy through Colonial. So they're not going to be able to do that. But they could keep that 40% benefit level separately. Now, Vincent was going to screen through the field bill and see how many employees might have that 40%. So, Vincent, I don't think we talked about this after we had that initial conversation. Did you get to go through and look?
I did filter on it, but I didn't do anything past that.
Okay. So it's an individually owned policy. The employee can keep it if they want to. Nobody can do anything about it if they port it. But they won't get to run it through the payroll deduction system, which gives them the advantage of pre-tax. So while you are talking to an employee about pros and cons about keeping or not keeping their individual policy, whether it's disability or any other type, be sure to include, if it is a policy that's eligible for pre-tax premium payments, that you tie that into the conversation, because monetarily that could be very important to the employee as a decision-making point.
Mike, this is Sheila. With the 25% being pre-tax, there is a taxability of claims. So is that the way that the employer wants it?
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's the way it's been in the past.
Available post-tax?
I'm sorry, so repeat that very last part.
I said rather than having it be post-tax, so there isn't a taxability of claims.
That's correct. Yeah, we discussed the pros and cons of the money saved in the premiums over time, as opposed to the taxability of a claim that might come at an incident rate of about 1% per 100 employees per year. And the decision was made to keep it pre-tax. Sheila, I'll send you an article that I have on that about a year ago. No, oh my God, 7 years ago. I'll send it to you.
This is Susie. I have a question. Hello?
Fire away.
Oh, thank you. Unless I missed something, Ronnie, back to the cancellation process. So when we're in the benefit platform and they have a current Colonial policy, it's going to show there, correct? Hello?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how can you not
if
cancel?
they're going to be going over, I'm going to do one more. We did a testing with Benefit Focus last week, but then I went in to try something else earlier in case somebody asked me that question today. And I had a little bit of a login issue. They're already aware of it. They're working on it. I need to verify one piece of information before I answer that question, and I am going to add that to my email that's going out tomorrow with all of the corresponding materials. So I will give some straightforward instructions regarding the cancellation process. So you guys all have
because you know, if it's in there and somebody wants to cancel, you can't wait and not cancel it because it's going to show up on their election form. So that
no, that's
work.
fine if it's on the computer. We just had an issue last year where people were using requests for service forms and the plan administrator was going in and it was, everything was canceled at different times. So if it's on the computer, Colonial won't do it until January 1st, or at least they shouldn't, or it's because you're rolling them over. But if you don't get to everybody, so I just want to get some clear-cut instructions out, and you guys will have that tomorrow.
Okay, can you just check with them, please? Because sometimes if it's a post-tax benefit, they do it right away instead of
what we're trying to avoid. Yeah, so I'm going to talk to them about that.
Okay.
No, I know what you're saying, Susie, and that was another issue we had last year, and I just want to make sure that
okay, thank you.
We streamline it. Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
I want to bring up a point about MetLife. So some benefit counselors may find it unusual that we're going to enroll what we consider a competitor's policy. It's for MetLife, their critical illness policy. So I just wanted to reinforce that our commitment to our broker and our client is that we will educate and enroll every benefit, just as if ours was the only one. We can give it just as much energy as the Colonial benefit. So please review the information about the MetLife critical illness benefit. And if an employee sitting with you is a candidate for critical illness, then just proceed as we always do, just like we do for any core enrollment. So I just wanted to kind of touch that because it might be unusual for some folks to enroll what we consider what do we do in enrollment competitors plan? Well, we're the enrollment company, and this is what we do. So there you go. Any questions about that?
No.
Cool. It's the only one I had, Ronnie.
Anybody else?
And Sheila, I sent you that pre-tax article a second ago, so you can take a look at that.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
All right, everyone. I know that there's going to be probably a lot more questions after everybody goes through their guidelines, maybe listens to this recording once more. Please feel free. My email, if you don't already have it, are on the enrollment guidelines. If you have any questions, don't wait till last second, because if I don't have an answer, I might have to find the answer out for you. Please email me directly. Let me know what your questions are so I can get back to you in a timely fashion. And because I know there's always going to be something, I'm sure there was something, 3 hours from now in the middle of the night, I'm going to wake up and go, damn, I wish I had mentioned this to them. And if that's the case, tomorrow when I send out that email with all the corresponding materials and the exact answer regarding the cancellation process and all the field bills and all the attachments, I will go ahead and, do some bullet points of any other information I feel we need to add. But in the meantime, think of any questions that you might have. Reach out to me. Let me know. I'd rather be proactive and everybody be prepared next week. And I already gave you the third password, I believe, which was Oliver. So just make sure you guys note that as well. And I want to send out, if they're still on the phone, a big thank you to Vincent and David and Ray for staying on the call with us. And now they know what a benefit counselor training call is. And for Mike, anything else? Anybody else? Wow.
This is Patrick.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that there will be a required test to be taken before the enrollment.
Or is 90%.
Benefit counselors.
Passing is 90%.
And is that going to be emailed to us, and when?
The link will be emailed to all the benefit counselors, and it should be out at the latest Thursday.
We wanted to send it a little bit later, closer to open enrollment, so you didn't take it, and then all of the studying and everything is, time passes, memory fades. So we wanted it to be nice and fresh.
All right. Thank you, everybody, once again. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. This will be made available via YouTube link for you tomorrow, along with all the other materials. Thank you again, Vincent, Ray, David. And please reach out again if you guys have any further questions. Thank you so much.
Thank
Nice
you,
job,
Ronnie.
Ronnie.
Good night.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Thanks.